Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Babytime. I'm Miss Jess. Babytime is the Ames Free Library's lap sit program for babies, infants, up through maybe early toddlers, where adults hold the babies on their lap, just like I'm doing with Freddie Bear here, and they participate together. So if you've got an older child, maybe a super wiggly toddler or a preschooler or even an elementary age student, have them grab a little stuffy or a baby doll of their own and they can join in as the grown-up. All right. In this group, the Babytime group, we do tons of repetition. So if you have joined us over the last few weeks, you'll hear a lot of the same rhymes. You'll hear pretty much only the same rhymes that we've done before. It helps you remember the rhymes, and it also helps reinforce it in babies' heads. So it will build those little connections in their brain, hear more vocabulary, and also just give them a happy feeling around words and songs and snuggles, which is actually a building block for future literacy. So singing and talking with these guys right now is building their literacy for future years when they are ready to read. So here we go. Let's jump right in. We're going to say hello to our little selves. We're going to start at the bottom. We go toes, tummy, and head, and then we say hello to our friends. And this is a great one. If you touch these parts while we're talking and singing about them, then that gets builds a little bit more vocabulary in your baby's day. So that's what we're going to do with this one here. So let's jump in. I've got the words all right over here. Say hello to your toes, to your toes, to your toes. Say hello to your toes. Hello, toes. We'll wake up those little toesies there, and we're going to scooch, scooch, scooch right here to the tummy. Give it a nice little tummy rub. Say hello to your tummy, to your tummy, to your tummy. Say hello to your tummy. Hello, tummy. And this one's great if you can get babies to stretch those little arms up over their heads and touch their heads. If not, of course, you can touch head for them. Or this is one, if baby likes to sit and watch you, you can touch your own head and they can see head, and they can start to understand that concept of this thing up here. All right, so let's say hello. Say hello to your head, to your head, to your head. Say hello to your head. Hello, head. And we're going to take our hands. If your little guys are too little, then you can wave for them. Of course, again, you can wave at them, or you can help them wave their hands. They can wave at me this morning. Good morning, because I'm going to wave at all of you. So, say hello to your friends, to your friends, to your friends. Say hello to your friends. Hello, friends. Hello and good morning, and I'm glad you guys are joining us today. So let's move right on. While we've got these little guys in our laps, we're going to do a nice little rocking rhyme. We're going to move along to our rocking horse. And this is a fun one. You can, as I've said a number of times over the past few weeks, you can do this to whatever comfort level you and your baby have. So if you've got a baby who loves to be rough and bouncy, then you bounce them as big and hard as you can. If you prefer a nice little gentle, that's all right. And if you've got a little one in arms, you can always just rock them gently, just like this, with little lifts and little drops, but still keeping them snug and secure with you. Another note before we move on to a lot of these bounces and rhymes that we do is that if baby likes to look at you, sometimes it's a much more comforting feeling than being sent up off into space and not really having a focal point. So if they prefer to turn around and look at you when you lift, then you just look right in their eyes, and it gives them a little sense of grounding. So they might like the lift, but maybe be a little worried. Have them turn around and look at you, and that should help a lot for the little guys. All right, so let's do our little rocking horse, and we do have a lift at the end of this one. Rickety, rickety, rocking horse, over the fields we go. Rickety, rickety, rocking horse, giddy up, giddy up. Whoa! Whoa, horsey, Freddie Bear, that was kind of fun, wasn't it? Get a nice little ride up and stop that horsey. Okay. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about books about emotions today. Emotions is a really big word for feelings. We all have lots of kinds of feelings. It's really good that we experience all these feelings. We have happy feelings, we have sad feelings, sometimes just kind of blah feelings. Day after day of staying home, like we've all been doing lately, I think a lot of us have some of those blah feelings. So there are a few books that that I want to recommend to you. Our babies, our little ones here, they really can't express these emotions, obviously, in words, but they sure do feel these big feelings all the time. And one of the things that that babies love is to see other babies' faces. So there are some really cute books out there that have, basically, a lot of them are just a face showing the emotion and then a label. So rather than having a book to read, it's just a little, again, as with many of the books we've talked about, it's just a little touchstone, a little conversation point for you to start with baby. So a book that's got a baby with a big old smile on their face, and it might just say happy. Or there are, you know, pictures with babies crying, and they just are labeled sad or maybe upset. So lots of different words to use for all these emotions, and there are some books that have these all laid out that you guys can check out. So there is a great book called Baby Faces. It's available on Hoopla. It is, Hoopla is one of our standard digital ebook platforms that you can find. You won't find it by this video, but you will find it on the Ames Free Library page under the downloads link. So if you're not already using Hoopla, you can download the app, log in with your library card, and you can find this book. So it's called Baby Faces. It's actually a series. And once you find Baby Faces, there are actually a few titles available, and they show babies and then some of the emotions that they're feeling, and kind of some of the things that they do. So that is a really fun, a little set of books to look at with your little guy. And there's another one, another series that's on the Abdo Digital Bookshelf. So we've talked about this a number of times over the past few weeks too. You can find that link back where you got started with this video. So under the Babytime online, you should find a list of resources right before where you started on our video here. So find the Abdo Digital Bookshelf and type in emotions, and you will find books with happy and sad. And they do have some words to go with it, but you can just look at the pictures with baby, because again, they just love looking at little faces and saying, oh, I see a face. Sometimes it's just the facial recognition. I see two eyes, a nose, and a mouth. Or sometimes it is starting to, especially with the older kids, say, oh, he's crying. Like, maybe this boy is sad. So great resources, even for babies, just to have these pictures to look at, and then you supply the words and have a conversation with your baby about those feelings, whether it's a happy or a sad or a mad or a grumpy face. So all sorts of things that you guys can look at with those. Now, if you like a story, also on Hoopla is a great little story called Grumpy Pants by Claire Messner. I don't have that book with me today, but we do have it in the library, so once we all get back there, you guys can have a look at that one. We actually have a ton of books about emotions and feelings with some really cute stories in the library, but you can ask me about those when we get back. So Grumpy Pants by Claire Messner is also available on Hoopla, and it's a great little story about a little penguin goes waddling through his day. He's just really grumpy, and he doesn't know why he's grumpy. He's just, like I said, I think a lot of us are kind of feeling that way right now. So just kind of grumpy, he can't shake it. But at the end of the book, he comes to terms with that, and he finds a sweet little resolution for himself to help himself feel a little better. So if you want to share an actual story, a little picture book, that's a great one to share with your kids. So try that one on Hoopla. All right, now, let's get back to our rhymes. Let's get back to the fun stuff with these little dudes here. So we're going to take these babies. We're going to do baby, baby dumpling. All right, lots of you guys, again, I think you know this one. I've got Freddy Bear, so we're just going to say baby, baby. I'm going to use him for my little Freddy Bear, but of course you can interchange baby's name and him, her, as that fits for your guy. So here we go. Let's take these little dumplings. We're going to eat them right up. Most babies love that little belly raspberry, little nibbles and tickles on their tummy. So again, rate this, you know, whatever speed or intensity your child is up for today. But this is a fun one that you can get pretty wiggly with. Baby, baby dumpling, put him in the pot, butter him and sugar him and eat him while he's hot. And eat up that little tummy. Hopefully you get a few little giggles back from that one. Gosh, I miss your giggles. Freddy Bear doesn't do a whole lot of giggling. So let's see, we can do that one again. This is one, especially if you've done it over and over and over, whether you've been joining us for our video series or is one that you've learned with me at the library. The more your baby learns it and hears it, the more they're going to expect that little belly blow at the end. So if you can draw that out just a little bit, and jump right in, it gives them that anticipation, so they'll be looking forward to that. They'll be, you know, even these little ones, they hear these familiar rhythms and routines and they know what's next. And if you drag that out just a little bit, they're going to be anticipating, they're going to be ready, and they're going to be waiting for that little belly tickle. So, yeah, so you can take your time and stretch that out at the end there. Baby, baby dumpling, put him in the pot, butter him and sugar him, and eat him while he's hot. And give that belly a nice little rub. While we've got our little hands on the belly, let's go round and round. Let's take our little, take a finger and go round and round the garden. So here we are, round and round the garden went the teddy bear. 1 step, 2 steps, tickle you under there. And this is another one again where you can stretch that out, make those 1 step, 2 steps take a really long time. Or you could go super fast, 1 step, 2 steps, and tickle you under there and get that little tickle in right before they're quite ready for it. So hopefully all of these, of course, produce giggles. That's the whole goal. All right. Now, Freddie Bear is going to have a seat up here for a minute. I would like to share with you some of our nursery rhymes. So as you know, we do a few books usually in regular baby times, but we also like to share a nursery rhyme because that's our little short and sweet baby-sized story. Some are longer than others, some actually have a little story to them. And the ones I'm going to share with you today are kind of related to emotions. Let's see. Or maybe temperament, I should say. So here's our first one. These are, again, from Mary Englebright's Mother Goose. If you don't have a Mother Goose book at home or a nursery rhyme book at home, I highly recommend it. They're a lot of fun, and you'll find a few favorites that you might come back to over and over again. I still use the book that I had when mine were babies, and they are no longer babies. But I do love it, and every so often I'll remember a little rhyme from there that might be applicable to whatever we're doing, whether we're being silly or having fun. So they're great little rhymes, and a lot of them you probably already know, although you might be surprised at how many you don't know. So we're going to jump in here with one you may have heard before, although if you're like me, you have no idea what the actual words are. You can't remember them all, but I bet you know this one. Monday's child is fair of face. Tuesday's child is full of grace. Wednesday's child is full of woe. Thursday's child has far to go. Friday's child is loving and giving. Saturday's child works hard for its living. But the child that's born on the Sabbath day is bonny and blithe and good and gay. So a little bit more about temperament than emotions, but all these ways that kids can be. Of course, we know pretty much every child is all of these things, but it's a fun little rhyme. And some sweet illustrations to go with that if you do get your hands on Mary Englebright's book. All right, now this one, this is emotions. Look at that sweet little girl. She is, oh, she's had better days, I think. Hush, baby, my dolly, I pray you don't cry, and I'll give you some bread and some milk by and by. Or perhaps you like custard or maybe a tart. Then to either you're welcome with all of my heart. We just want to cheer up that baby, don't we? Poor little thing. She looks pretty tired, I think. But anything she likes to make her smile, that's what we're going to offer. Hush, baby, my dolly, I pray you don't cry, and I'll give you some bread and some milk by and by. Or perhaps you'd like custard, or maybe a tart. Then to either you're welcome with all of my heart. That's a sweet little one there. All right. Now, I know I have a really bad habit, both on our videos and in the library, of forgetting this part, but we're gonna share some baby signs. So I like to share signs with you guys every week. This is from a great website called babysignlanguage.com. I find all the graphics, and there are some great videos on there as well. And they give you some ideas of words, or signs, I should say, that you can use to communicate with your baby. And at some point before your baby is able to verbalize and speak those back to you, they may be able to give you some of these signs. So when they're fussing and crying and you can't figure it out and they say milk, you say, oh, well, sure, I can get you some milk. So, so baby signs are, you know, if it's something that works for you, then absolutely, I'll give you a couple to work on every week. And if it's not something you use, it's just a fun little thing to learn. So we have been working on clothing and things you can work on at home, or I should say things that you will be using at home. So I think we've done this one not too long ago in the library, but we're going to do socks today and shoes. So socks, if you'll look at the top, you're going to take your 2 index fingers and line them up parallel, pointing down toward the floor, and you're going to just rub them back and forth. So socks, like you're pointing at your toes. So when it's time to put on those socks, get those socks and put them on. And then shoes is fairly similar. You're going to take your hands, but you're going to keep them in fists, and you're just going to bump them against each other, kind of like you're knocking your shoes, like, hey, get those shoes on. So when you get dressed to go out, we've had a little weather. We've been off and on with our rain and our sunshine, but on some of these beautiful days, hopefully you guys are able to get out. So when it's time to go out, you can grab your socks. Baby, we're going to go get our socks and shoes. Please sit still so we can put on your shoes, and socks and shoes so we can go outside. So couple of new signs you guys can work on, and of course you can always check out babysignlanguage.com and find some signs of your own that might work for you and baby at home. Okie doke. Now I've been working with our homemade scarves. I shouldn't say homemade, but our home found scarves. So we like to end story time with some scarf rhymes, with some little colorful things flying through the air, and of course at home you probably don't have the fun and colorful scarves that we have at the library. So I have recommended using a burp cloth or maybe a washcloth. My washcloths are rather old and faded, but maybe you've got something a little more colorful. As I've said before, a pillowcase is always a good option. It's a big, colorful thing that you can kind of flap around and entertain baby with. But I do actually have a few of our library scarves from home, so I'm going to use one of these this week because really they're so much more fun to look at. So, so grab something you think will work for you. You can, like I said, a little dish towel, all sorts of stuff. But I'm sure you've got something at home that you can flap around and make some cute little, do our little rhymes with. All right, so here we go. We're going to start with this one that I discovered just a few months ago, and I love this one. You're going to take your scarf, squish it all up in your hands. If you're sitting with a little one, grade schooler might be able to make this fit, depending on what you're using for a scarf, or you might need to help them with that. Grown-ups, I don't know. The little ones are going to have hands big enough to hold these. So you're going to take that scarf, squish it up, hide it so no one can see. And we've got a little Jack in the Box rhyme. Are you ready, Freddy Bear? Here we go. Jack in the box, he sits so still. Will he come out? Yes, he will. And there's that scarf, pops right out and flies down for us. So squish that up in your hands again. Let's do that one again. If baby likes it, you can have it plop and drift down on their head, which is always a fun little peekaboo game you can play. Or of course, if they're not into it, you can just toss it in front of them and you can watch it kind of parachute down together. So squish that right up. Here we go. Jack in the box sits so still. Will he come out? Yes, he will. And this is another fun one that you can stretch that right out and make that anticipation, stretch it out, make it a whole lot longer. So will he come out? And just wait and wait. You can look at baby, see what they think, and then pop him right out at the end there. All right. The next one, our rhyme, our song that we do every week, we're going to roly-poly. It is so much more fun with these scarves. We're going to roly-poly our hands around in a circle, and we're going to go with some opposites here. So again, you've probably heard these a bunch of times now. If this is your first time, listen up, and I promise we'll do the same thing again next week. Roly-poly, roly-poly, up, 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 up. Roly-poly-poly, roly-poly-poly, down, 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 down. All right, so for ups and downs, you can go on baby's head, you can go on baby's toes, up in the air or down on your seat or on the floor. And then we're gonna go with our next one is front and back. So you can touch baby's belly, you can touch baby's back, or you can show it out front and hide them in back. So here we go. Roly-poly, roly-poly, front, 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 front. Roly-poly-poly, roly-poly-poly, back, 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 back. Hide that right away. And this is the last one we'll do today, but you can always find some opposites of your own. So we'll go slow and then fast. Here we are. Roly-poly, roly-poly, slow, 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 slow. Roly-poly-poly, roly-poly-poly, fast, 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 fast. You wave that scarf around like a little buzzy bee. Grown-ups, don't forget to check out the other links on this page for access to online storybooks or other early learning programs. You can also check out the early literacy tips on the Youth Services page on the blog. Those are generally aimed toward babies and young toddlers, although really they can be applied to all ages up through preschool and even some early early grade school, maybe kindergarten level. So there's a new one each week, so have a look at those and give you some ideas to play and interact with your little one when you can't join us at the library. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope you all stay well, and I'll see you next week. Bye!